Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to
to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
For which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
Indivisible.
with liberty and justice.
liberty and justice for all.
a moment of silence for those lost. Thank you. I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us this evening. We have presenters here for this evening for our land development presentations. Tonight's meeting is the Upper Darby Council Committee / workshop meeting for March 3rd, 2021. And so at this point in time, Ms. Councilwoman Phillips, could you please give us the roll call?
Yes, thank you, Council President Wentz. Councilman Tunis,
Present.
Councilwoman Phillips is here. Councilman Silva,
Here,
Councilwoman Blackwell,
Here.
Councilman Gwen,
Present.
Councilman Burke,
Present.
Councilman Siddiq,
Present.
Councilwoman Faralia,
Here.
Councilman Barnett,
Here.
Councilman Wagner,
Here.
and Council President Wentz.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
Thank you. And so this evening, we also have CAO. Hold on. Okay, so I just muted everyone. So we have CAO Rangione, Mayor Keffer. We have our Township Engineer, Mike Galante. We have our solicitors, Kilkenny and Richardson. Ms. Dobbins helping us on the technical side of the equation. We have Alexis, and we helping with all the magic that she does, and then presenters for 2 land development presentations. That one on Wawa for 5202 Westchester Pike, or sorry, West Baltimore Avenue, and then a presentation land development for 4221 Fern Boulevard. So they will introduce themselves when it's their turn to speak. So I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. I also wanted to point out that we just had an executive session on a training on actually a resolution that we will be discussing this evening. And then we also did have an executive session on February 17th, 2021. I forgot to mention it that evening. So I just wanted to, and that was on litigation as well as personnel issues, I believe. So I just wanted to clear the air on that one. So at this point in time, we have rules of decorum. Upper Darby Township Council and residents will maintain professional respect for each other. Council encourages free speech. However, civility is required, which would prohibit threats, profanity, scandalous, impertinent, and redundant comment, or any comment the discernible purpose of which is to disrupt or prevent the conduct of business of the meeting. Great. So up next, we have the presenters from Wawa Land Development at 5202 West Baltimore Avenue. Please take it away.
Good evening. My name is Finton McHugh. I represent BT Baltimore Avenue Properties, LLC. Just firstly, are we able to share screen with Pete Cleland, our Vice President of Development?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay, so with me tonight are Pete Cleland. As I mentioned, he's Vice President of Development of BET Investments. Also, our project engineer, CJ Bach from Bowler Engineering is with us. And just by way of general introduction, I imagine pretty much everybody's familiar with the site. It's located at Baltimore Pike, Baltimore Avenue, and just west of Oak Avenue. What we're talking about here tonight, although it was originally associated with the Wawa, we're talking about Lot 1 as shown on the plan, which is just west of Lot 2, which is the Wawa lot. And that lot is already under construction. The township previously approved the land development plan for both lots 1 and 2. And what we're doing here is Lot 2 that we're talking about tonight is not affected, or Lot 2 with the Wawa is not affected by the amendments that we're proposing to Lot 1. Pete Cleland can explain the reason for the amendment and why and he'll give some additional background on the project. That basically we're trying to keep the existing restaurant building that's there, but that it's basically a straightforward proposal to keep that restaurant building instead of constructing a new building along the Planet Fitness that's there. This is a permitted use, and we are implementing significant stormwater controls as well as reductions in impervious coverage. Those reductions they would improve the existing conditions, and they're also an improvement off of what was previously approved and on the land development plans that were recorded for both lots 1 and 2. Mr. Bach will address those specifics, and we can, the three of us together can address the waivers that are being requested. And so first, hopefully, if we can get the plan up, I would ask Pete to explain the reason for the amendment, just give some additional background on the project.
Thanks. Can everyone hear me? I'll take that as
Yes.
Yes.
on the screen. Hopefully you can see it. I have opened up the amended plan that is before you tonight. And as noted, this was previously approved for a 2-lot subdivision and redevelopment of the former Burlington Coat property that was here. As noted, construction has begun on what is Lot 2, New Wawa. The demolition was completed last year, and the site improvements as well as all road improvements were installed at that time. We had continued to try to market. I'm going to bring up a different plan briefly. This plan on the screen that I just opened up shows here the plan that was previously approved had the Wawa on Lot 2, the existing Planet Fitness building here on Lot 1, and proposed to demolish the formerly existing Five Guys building, or the currently existing Five Guys building along Baltimore Avenue, replace that building with a parking lot, and construct a new building up adjacent to the Planet Fitness building itself. The plan on the right side of the screen here shows the existing Five Guys building and retention of the parking behind the building and eliminating the construction of that 9,000 square foot building that was on the originally approved plan. So the request that was made to the township was to amend the final land development approval to eliminate the demolition of the existing building and the replacement with the new building. Through a number of conversations with your engineer, we have made some further enhancements to the plan that was submitted by way of additional landscape islands throughout the parking lot that exists, additional landscaping around the trash enclosure and loading area that I'm hovering the cursor over right now on the screen along Baltimore Avenue to screen that from the roadway. And the reason we have these plans side by side here is so that the council can see that we have we are including all the same roadway improvements that were part of the original design in terms of sidewalk, landscaping, both along the frontage and between the parcels. And as noted, we are reducing the impervious coverage from what existed previously. I'm going to bring up the aerial plan just momentarily here. So this aerial plan goes back to when Burlington Coat and Pizza Hut were still on the site. You can see here the Five Guys building that we're now requesting that we be able to retain and reuse. We do have an interested tenant that wants to operate here. The name of that company is Boil Shack. It's a seafood restaurant. They do wish to maintain the pickup window that exists on the building. So that is reflected on the plan. It's not a traditional drive-through in the sense that you pull up and order and wait for your food. It's order ahead, pick it up at the window. You may also order at the window, but you have to then pull into a parking space and wait for your food to be complete because it's not a fast service kind of a use. So as I mentioned earlier, all of the roadway improvements that were required by the original plan have been installed and completed, which that allowed Wawa to proceed with their construction. February wasn't a great month for them, I don't think, but they do still expect to be open this summer with the Wawa. And if anybody has any specific questions, I'd be happy to address them.
I have a question.
I should say we are in receipt of Mr. Galante's latest review. We are working through a couple final landscaping items with him to address those.
Okay, Lisa, you had a question?
Yeah, I do. So is that a definite with the Royal Shack taking the Five Guys building?
Boil, B-O-I-L, Boil Shack. And we have a lease that they have signed. We have not on our side because we wanted to make sure that we could get the amended land development approval. But it's, I would
It won't be an empty
95. I would say it's a 95% certainty. They have signed the lease and expressed interest in being here.
Okay.
Councilman Silva?
Sure. On lot number 1, is that other building gonna probably stay the gym, or no, that's not part of the change here, but out of curiosity?
Yeah, they are. They actually started doing some remodeling last year before COVID, and then put that on a little bit of a hiatus due to COVID conditions. But they did actually just notify us today that they are planning on submitting the final part of their application to the township to complete their interior renovation. So yeah, we expect that they're going to continue to be there.
Okay. And then just one other follow-up question, I guess. Is there going to be more parking because of it seems like that this proposed use with the seafood restaurant, it seems like it would be like kind of parking heavy. Is there going to be more parking because of that, or do you feel like there's enough at this point?
The parking on site on this plan meets code, and we don't really see it as a super heavy parking use, and it's kind of off schedule of what the gym would use. So we feel that they're very complementary uses in that regard. The gym tends to be early morning, early evening. The restaurant tends to be more daytime and later evening.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other council members have questions? Okay, so I do have a question. What was the old previous impervious surfaces percentage versus what it is now?
DJ, that probably sounds like a question for you.
Well, I want to clarify, prior to development or previous plan to current plan?
All three.
Okay. I would say that prior to it, and I'll let CJ answer the specific numbers, but prior to the redevelopment, you can see this little area right here was the only area of impervious on the site previously. This entire Planet Fitness side was all asphalt, and this entire other side was all asphalt. So we are adding considerable pervious area in both scenarios. And then CJ can hit you with the exact numbers. Hopefully.
I think CJ was, got bumped out at one point. Is he back in? CJ back in?
And if CJ's not there, I know I saw a recent,
I'm here. I'm
Being
sorry.
okay.
There he
I'm
is.
So-
sorry. I was scrambling to get the number.
Sorry, sorry.
No, the existing
here-
impervious collectively on the property, this plan shows what the reduction was cumulatively for between the two. I mean, when we originally permitted, everything came in together. And as one collective property, there was a significant reduction. You know,
Yes,
as evidenced by
it was
the-
going, the existing lot prior to development was 97.3%. Under the current proposed scenario, we're, call it 83% on lot one and 65% on the other. So
You're roughly down, but almost an acre of pavement of
Roughly.
impervious surface was removed as part of the project. And then
Looks
as
like
a part of the amended plan, we maintain that same, that it matches what was originally approved relative to lot one and the impervious coverage reductions proposed.
yeah, it looks like it was maybe about a 20% reduction blended between the two lots.
Right, you can see there's some large green areas that we now have on this amended plan. And those were added specifically to maintain the original approval and the salient points of that application and the impervious reductions that were proposed. Over on lot one, the southeast corner of
So-
lot one, Pete.
Yeah, this area on lot one is all pervious area that's new.
Yep.
Now pervious buffer along the property line to the residential in the back, as well as between the two properties here. And then of course the frontage along Baltimore Avenue here. And most recently in working with Mr. Galante,
Yes.
to retain those numbers, we added this green area in the back of Planet Fitness, again, kind of buffering the rear properties.
That way we're consistent with what was originally approved, at least in regards to, you know, that benefit of the reduction in impervious area.
Thank you. Are there any other council members that have questions? Councilman Bonnet?
Thank you, President Wentz. There are a number of waivers that are being requested. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Can we get a quick rundown on them? And the purpose or the provision to which it is being asked to waive? Or you are asking to waive?
Sure. The first waiver we're requesting is section 300.1, that the preliminary plan and final plan be considered separate submissions. That's a pretty straightforward request. So we would be coming back for final plan approval. The second request is from section 817D3C. And that together, the second waiver request, as well as the, I believe the fourth, relate to landscaping requirements. And we're working with Mr. Galante. We're confident that in the next 2 weeks, we can resolve all the landscaping issues in those two waiver requests. We're trying to reduce as much as possible or eliminate any landscaping waivers and subject to limitations of the site, of course. But we're hopeful we can resolve those with Mr. Galante.
I have a question. I have a question on that. Let's just take number 2. What is the provision in the saldo that is being waived?
In number 2, it's with regard to 3-inch caliper shade trees being planted for every 5 parking spaces.
So what is the provision in the ordinance itself?
That is the requirement itself.
Yes.
817D3C.
No, I'm sorry, I might not being very clear. You're asking that we approve 1 3-inch caliber shade tree for every 5 parking spaces. What is the provision? What is the requirement?
No, that provision is what's required.
Okay,
That provision be waived
okay.
to reduce the number of shade trees required on the site.
Yeah, I think we discussed earlier today about that waiver, and in the event that you can't provide the tree plantings on the site, the applicant is willing to do a fee in lieu of or plant off-site at some other location.
The fee in lieu, yeah.
I don't see the word asking, or any words asking for it to be waived. It's just a statement.
It's under.
It's as though you're planning them. That's the way I read it.
Oh, we do have a request for a waiver of that.
Okay, I think that needs to be stated, that it's a request for waiver of that provision. Because it looks like you're saying that you are going to plant 1 3-inch caliber shade tree for every 5 parking spaces. That's the way I read it, at least.
Councilman Bennett, up above, it says waivers. The following request waivers from
I got it. I got
Township
it.
Division and Land
Right.
Development. So
Right.
they headed it and then they listed all their waivers.
Yes, you're correct. I overlooked that one word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then just continuing down, the third waiver that's being requested is from section 817D3 lowercase fi, that a landscape island be provided at the end of each parking bay, not more than 20 contiguous parking spaces accessed from a single side. At the suggestion of Mr. Galante, we are adding an additional landscape island that will eliminate the need for this waiver.
I have one other question. Did you, I greatly appreciate all the green spaces you have in this plan. I was just wondering if there were any rain gardens around the gas tank area to help filter the runoff of the gas and so forth that gets spilled on the ground.
Stormwater, the Wawa tract has its own stormwater management system. It's located underground in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
And the system's equipped with certain petrochemical, filters, and it is designed in accordance with the MPDS requirements for, gas stations. It was only permitted, I believe it was in 2016. So it's all very, very modern.
Okay. 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 I'm just, after we've done a few land developments so far, and I'm asking you questions that the environmentalists would be asking me. So if I ask them first, then I won't get a whole lot of messages. So.
Right,
yeah.
I understood. And that one's actually, again, it's already constructed and operating.
Right.
It's hard, it's trying to imagine this one being bifurcated, but that's how the application was originally done, and hence we are here to amend it.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
So is there anyone else from council? I'm just hopping through the screen to see if anyone else has any other, Councilwoman Blackwell? Go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm just wondering, it's on a main street, and I don't know if this is a question for now or later, but is there, for people who don't have a car and they have to catch SEPTA when they get there, are you working in conjunction with SEPTA to make sure that the people, when they're standing outside, that they have something so they're not out in the rain? It's just a question for the residents who don't have a voice at this time.
There is a SEPTA stop near Oak Avenue down here. We have not had any contact with SEPTA with regard to shelter or anything like that, if that's what you're asking. obviously improve the sidewalk condition along there in terms of pedestrian accessibility.
Yes, for those who don't have a car.
Yes. So there are now sidewalk connections into the site and crosswalks to all of the fronts of the buildings. You know, here we've added all of that, both for ADA access and pedestrian access from Baltimore Avenue to the Boil Shack portion of the property, as well as to the Wawa portion of the property. There's this meandering trail that comes through the green area and then over to the front of the Wawa store.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify that comment, that's a good comment that you made, Councilwoman Blackwell. Within the county review letter, the County Planning Commission recommended some form of a bus shelter at this site. And I did talk to Mark D'Amico, and we reviewed the county comments, and we said that, you know, we came up with the conclusion that we would work on them and review them. And at the meeting on the 17th, at that time, we would work out a solution to accommodate those comments as well into the plan.
Thank you so much.
Comments, yep. I think, Mr. McHugh, I think you should run through the waivers, address the ones that were already granted that you're reapplying for, address the one, you kind of addressed the one where you were asking for it, but then you went back, you know, and we actually found a way to eliminate it. So I think, you know, we should really nail that down, because that's one of the big things that the council is going to vote on at the next meeting is the approval of the waivers. I would also recommend that you touch on, you got a variance last time under your last submission to from decorative pavement requirements. But since you're keeping the drive-through, you're going to put the decorative pavement in for safety. You guys actually elected to do that to eliminate that potential variance, and some of the other items that were discussed. And some of the improvements for stormwater, I think, Mr. Bach, you could attest to allowing the roof leaders to discharge into a grass area versus going directly underground into that landscape bed that's adjacent to I guess you would say it's on the right corner of the screen where the Planet Fitness is. That's an improvement for stormwater as well. So if you guys want to elaborate on that, I think that'd be good to highlight that to council.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Galante.
Councilwoman Faralia, did you want to wait until they gave us more information, or do you have a question before they start all that?
No, I just wanted to know, like, has a letter gone out to the residents? Do they, you know, has anybody spoke to any of the residents out there about the change?
Not that I'm aware of, Peter.
No, not from our side, no.
And there is no note, maybe Mr. Galante can comment on this, or Mr. McHugh, but there's no necessary any kind of notice requirement in Upper Darby code requiring the neighbors be notified because they've already received their zoning relief. If you need zoning relief, then neighbors are required to be mailed by law. But for subdivision and land development, it is not necessary. So I believe that's why there has been no formal neighbor notification.
Okay, and also I also just wanted to throw in, just for those of you who are presenting, there's a lot of new council members on our council this time around who weren't present at the last time you came before council for the land development. So that's why Mr. Galante's recommendations of things to explain to us is really important, because there's a lot of new members of council. Just wanted to clarify that.
Understood. And yeah, I mean, to Mr. Kilkenny's point, land development doesn't typically involve notices to neighbors. Given the nature of what is being changed on this plan is that we eliminated 9,000 square feet of retail in deference to retaining a 3,000 square foot building. So to us, this is a kind of a reduction in intensity, and given the increase in green area here at the back of the property to any adjoining neighbors. I think if anything, this is a positive impact to the neighbors in that regard. So, Finn, do you want to take back up with the waivers, running through them one at a time?
Sure. Yeah, just to continue on, we're at waiver 4. That's from section 817 E2 and 3. That 1 3-inch to 3.5-inch caliper specimen deciduous trees be planted for every 100 feet length of building perimeter. 2 8-foot to 10-foot high flowering trees or evergreen trees being provided for every 100 feet length of building perimeter again, and 3 evergreen or deciduous shrubs being planted for every 20 feet of building perimeter. And again, similar to with the second waiver, we are working with Mr. Galante to clarify the extent of the waivers, trying to put as many trees on the site as possible in the green areas that we're providing, including the new ones. But to the extent that there's physical limitations, we're open to fee in lieu for landscaping requirements.
Yeah, and I think you should note that you meet the shrubbery requirements, I believe, and also the evergreen tree requirements. So we're talking about shade trees. So you meet a majority of that stipulation.
Thank you. And then the 5th, 6th, and 7th of 7 waivers, those were granted, and it's I believe it's indicated on one of the sheets of the plans, but those were granted by council in connection with the 2018 approval. I know council is markedly different right now, but we obtained approval for those waivers at that time, and we had an HOP permit granted, which is now closed out, and essentially these waivers relate to the driveways. And the driveways are in and constructed, and there's not going to be anything changed with the plan with respect to these waivers. Essentially, the plan is staying the same with regard to the driveways. Pete or CJ, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll probably try to take a more simplified approach. Those waivers are the same waivers, and what they related to, the work is already done. Which I think you said in a more eloquent manner, but we're keeping them on the plan because they still apply, but there's really no ability for us to change them or eliminate them because the work is already complete.
Yeah, and as a matter of process, you want to make sure that you get this on the record that you're requesting them with your amended plan.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
And just so council understands, we got together this resolution knowing that it was not perfect. It's a 90% solution. There are other issues being worked out and negotiated with Mr. Galante and Mr. Bach, the engineer, and our office and Mr. McHugh's office, some of which I forwarded the resolution to their office a couple days ago. They just got me back some comments now. And so we'll definitely be incorporating some of the comments we heard from council tonight, the Delaware County Planning Department. So while this resolution will be close to what will be acted on the 17th, just to know that not everything is going to necessarily be final on this. We'll make sure that it's circulated to council definitely a couple days ahead of time, so you're well aware.
Thank you, Sean, for that clarification. Does council have any other questions? I'm just scrolling through to see. Councilman Gwynn and then Councilman Silva. Go ahead, Gwynn.
Okay. I like very much seeing your drawing and sketching. Will we have an electronic version of this to give to the council at large?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilman Silva?
Sure. Just in section 6, and I realize that, or item 6, just because I wasn't on council, I guess when this was previously approved, the grade is greater than 4%. I was just curious what the grade actually is and the reasoning why the grade is required to be increased.
So I believe, and CJ can jump in here and stop me if I'm wrong, I believe that it is the grade of the driveway that goes out to Oak Avenue, which recollection is, I think we're 6%, CJ, coming down that driveway to Oak Avenue. There is a significant grade difference between the high point of, we tried to keep these driveways for Wawa as far away from the intersections as possible. To that end, there's obviously a high point on Baltimore Avenue and a low point on Oak Avenue. In order to have a relatively flat site in between, the slope of the driveway connecting to Oak Avenue exceeded the ordinance allowance by a little bit. Certainly within.
It is 6%. 6% on the nose. It's there's a 10-foot climb along that driveway from the street to the building, and the heart of the driveway is at 6%.
I think that's the only one that exceeded it, right, CJ?
As I look around the plan, I do believe in the proximity of the requirement, yes.
Yeah. So that was the reason for that request. It's just a matter of balancing the site between the two connection points.
Okay, and then trying to keep as wide a footprint for the two driveways as possible from the intersection. Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay. Any other council members? Okay. Seeing none. All right. Great. Well, thank you so much for that presentation. It's definitely a lot greener than last time I saw it. So I greatly appreciate all the adjustments and all the work you've been doing with Mr. Galante and our Mayor Keffer and our CAO Rangione. So thank you very much.
Certainly. Did you need us to stay on for the resolution part later or no?
If you want to, there's a it's up to you. I
don't know that we need to, and we've seen it.
Not necessarily. And any other questions that come up from council, I'm sure Mr. Galante will share that information with you, or our solicitor Kilkenny will. So
great.
Yeah. So definitely. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night.
You too.
Okay, so next up, we have a presentation for land development for 4221 Fern Boulevard. Mike Galante, are you going to lead the way on this one, or are there others coming in to do that?
Mr. Lingo and his engineer, I believe, are here. Dave Damon. Dave Damon, are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm in here somewhere.
Okay. So real quick, I'll just preface this project. If you could, I'd like to start this off because this is a very, this is kind of a two-part project. So and part of it involves Upper Darby. So if you want to, Dave, if you want to pull up the plans, can you share your screen? And, I could just give a quick little setting and then you guys are good to go. So just real quick, the project we're talking about is Blue Devil Realty, 4221 Farm Boulevard is the address. And just to keep in mind, this project, you'll see on the plan, I think Dave can describe, there's a little dashed line which depicts the future improvements that are going to be proposed, that are going to happen on Fern Boulevard. We hope within the next few weeks. they're going to start, which will be the streetscape project that the township received a grant for along Fern Boulevard. So this project actually, happening at the same time as the Fern Boulevard streetscape, and it all, kind of ties together. One thing I'll note about the applicant, and Dave, you can touch on a couple things. I think they only have about two. I think they have two waivers requests, and they reduced impervious significantly to proposing green infrastructure, rain gardens, and I think some pervious parking. So with that said, Dave, if you want to just describe the development, and go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah, as Mike said, this site is the old Citizens Bank, located at 4221 Fern Boulevard. The bank building is still here, and it's proposed to be renovated as a restaurant. So right now the site is almost entirely impervious. It's a large parking lot that extends from Fern Boulevard along Valley Road. The paving is right up beyond the street right-of-way line, right up to the property lines. And there's just one small area of grass back here. So it's over 96% impervious. What's proposed is to renovate the bank building to become a restaurant. It will have an outdoor dining area that sits just southwest of it, and construct a 4,400 square foot mixed use building adjacent to that outdoor dining area. That would be retail on the first floor and office on the second floor. The impervious would be reduced by almost 20%. And it would add landscaping along green areas along Valley Road, significant ones along Valley in this area, and then along the parking lot. It adds green area along the area that buffers with the residents to the west of the site, and green area interior to the parking lot. So the stormwater management for the site would be provided, and it would include a rain garden in the center of the parking lot, an underground infiltration bed below this area, and porous asphalt paving in the area where we are, removing the existing grass area here. We would add porous paving in its place, about 1,200 square feet of it. The stormwater runoff would be reduced significantly. So the ordinance in this district of the Darby Cotts watershed requires, we're reducing the 2-year runoff to the 1 year, the 5-year to the 2 year, the 25-year pre-development to the 5 year, and the 50-year post-development to the 10-year pre-development. So it's reducing runoff by approximately 50% from the site. Landscaping would be added also. There would be an evergreen buffer along the west side where we join the neighbors on Valley Road. Street trees would be provided along Valley and Fern, and some parking lot trees. I think there's 12 evergreen buffer trees, 12 street and parking lot trees, and over 30 shrubs would be added around the building, in the front, on the sides, and in the parking lot area. So there's 2 waivers requested. One is to allow it to be reviewed as a preliminary final plan. The other is to reduce the required 5-foot curb radius in the parking lot. So we have a small island we wanted to have greened over in this area. It's a 2-foot radius on that curb. We wanted to keep it curbed and also keep it green. Um, The parking lot provides parking for 36 cars. There's a loading area in the rear of the buildings. And there's also metered spaces in that area that help us comply with the zoning requirements. That's an overview of the project. So I guess I'm open to any questions at this time from the council.
Here I am. Okay, Mayor Keffer?
This is just this is a personal question. Are you the Dave Damon that does the DCV cleanup at the
That's me.
at the Springfield Swim Club? Okay.
Indian Rock Park, yeah.
Yeah, no, we've never met, but we've talked on the phone.
I stopped by and you gave me probably like 10 years ago, you gave me supplies. Bags and
Okay, all right. Yay. Hi, Dave.
That's awesome. Councilman Burnett?
Thank you, President Wentz. Is this, Dave, is this in full compliance with our zoning ordinance at this point?
Yes, it is. It received zoning approvals to allow the outdoor dining, to allow mixed use, and to reduce this green area. Right now, the paving actually goes across the right-of-way line, and we got approval to reduce it to 1 foot. We're actually providing 4 feet there. So, but other than that, it does comply.
Good. And at that time, when it was heard in front of the zoning, we did deny the storage building in the back part of the lot, which is now proposed to be developed for parking, as you can see on the plan. And I think that's certainly an improvement, a much improved. I think the outdoor dining that was approved is a welcome amenity, actually, as well as a redevelopment of the Citizens Bank building, which is all part of the same ownership, as I understand, or at least the same people involved with the ownership. So I like the idea of this plan versus what was previously proposed for this particular site. So I think it's an improvement in that regard. I just ask that we have a plan submitted to us for our personal use in terms of members of council, if we can get that distributed to us.
Certainly.
Councilman Silva?
Sorry. Okay. Yep, I am unmuted. Fantastic. All right. So the dark shaded areas, is that going to be the sidewalk area, or is that?
Yeah, that's correct. That's the sidewalk area.
Okay. And then the white areas is where the shrubbery would be located, and in front of the mixed use building and the restaurant. Okay.
Yes. And then, yeah.
I agree with my colleague too. I really think this plan is a vast improvement over the previous one, and yeah, I think it's looks like it's really well laid out. So thank you.
Thanks.
Any other council members? I'm looking. I have to say I agree with my colleagues. The inclusion of the rain garden, the variety of greenery, the evergreen buffer for the residents, all the layers of greenery is definitely a great thing. And the outdoor dining with COVID and everything is, a very good use for the future. So definitely a great thing. A lot of great improvements. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. I have a strange feeling our Mayor Keffer has something to do with some of it, because she's she loves plants. So on the environmental side of her equation. So I just wanted to thank you for all that. Councilman Burnett, I see that you have your hand up again.
Yes, thank you. The waivers that are being requested?
It was just two. One to allow it to be a preliminary final review. The other had to do with the county ordinance requires a 5-foot radius for parking lot curbing. And we're providing a 2-foot radius at this island here. We pretty much comply with most of the others. They're around 4-foot radiuses here, but we lose a parking space to meet that requirement. And the parking in this area is at a premium, so we're asking for the waiver so we don't have to lose parking spaces.
Yeah, I think the parking is valuable. Thank you.
Yeah, I will add on. I think we identified about, I'd say 10 or 12 waivers, and Dave eliminated pretty much all of them. We identified a lot of waivers, and the applicant did a lot to, eliminate and make the plan conform to the ordinance. So it was really a good job.
So I think the copy we got has 7 waivers. Wait, am I looking at the right one? Yes, 7. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry. That's Wawa. Okay, sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry about that. Okay. Any other council members have any questions or concerns? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. If you going once, going twice, strike, you're out. Okay, thank you very much for the presentation on this land development. Yeah, great, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And any things that council has when we do talk about the resolution itself during the meeting, I'm sure Mike Galante and our solicitors will get back to you if need be.
Real quick, Michael, unless if I'm correct, unless if I'm mistaken, I know this was added kind of later to the agenda. I don't believe that there really is a draft resolution per se, unless if you've seen one, Michael.
I have not seen a draft resolution, but it's pretty much similar to the previous one with the exception of the 2 waivers, which are pretty minor.
So we'll work to get together a draft resolution, Council President Wentz, and get it to council as soon as possible.
Okay, so that explains why I can't find it in my pile of paper.
Yeah, no, I was actually looking for the same thing. And then I was like, I don't remember doing a resolution for this. So looking at it, and then I was like, I remembered it was added at the last second. So, yeah.
Okay. Great, because I thought I missed it already. So, all right, cool, great, thank you. So, great, then, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Great. I forgot to ask the previous realm. Can you guys send us your presentation? Alexis came on to remind me visually. Can you send us the written document of your presentation so that we can get it into our minutes correctly? And Mike Galante, can you ask Wawa for the same thing, because I forgot to ask them before they left our meeting.
All right.
Sorry. Yes. So that would be great. That way we're not trying to recreate your words if you already have it.
Well, I kind of have some written notes, so I'll try my best.
Okay. We can put a combination of the two. Our fabulous municipal clerk goes back through and watches the video outside of all the amazing notes that she's taking at this time. But it's very helpful if you can provide us with information. It makes the minutes a lot easier.
Will do.
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. Okay, cool. All right. And Mike Galante, are you cool with asking Wawa for that, because I completely missed it before they left?
No problem.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I told her I would ask and then I forgot. So I apologize. Okay, so next up, public forum. Yay. So next up, public forum, we have Miss Alexis, and I butcher your name all the time, so I don't try to say. Yes, she's gonna read the public comments for us. So if everyone can mute themselves except for Miss Phillips and myself. Miss Phillips will be the 2.5 minute timekeeper, and I'm the 3 minute timekeeper. Miss Phillips, are you ready? There you are. Okay, great. And go.
Ready? Our first comment is from Terry Diaz Bradley, 1213 Morgan Avenue. This township is only as good as the people we entrust to lead it. My family pays $12,000 a year in taxes to live in Upper Darby Township. Taxes have gone up every year for 20 years. For that exorbitantly high rate of taxation, and even for much, much less, it is reasonable to expect that all elected and appointed officials serve all the people of this township fairly, equitably, and without reservation. I also think it is imperative that it be done so with integrity and complete transparency. 3 certified arborists and 1 expert in hazard tree risk assessment have identified 2 poplars located at 1217 Morgan Avenue to be diseased, in distress, and in decline, each 80 to 100 feet tall and likely to fall, which would most assuredly cause death or seriously bodily injury and extensive property damage. Both trees have already caused significant and costly property damage to the home where my family and I live. Upper Darby Township has become infamous among arborists for having trees that are a menace to its residents and a public nuisance. For decades, the Upper Darby Property Maintenance Code has had a law specifically legislated by council to protect residents from the dangers posed by hazard trees. More offensive and embarrassing than the bad reputation resulting from neglect of this hazard is that this law is enforced selectively or arbitrarily. Some residents have called and asked the section of the code be enforced, and the township has complied without reservation. Other residents call and get no response from township officials, or are left to suffer the risk of death or seriously bodily injury, while the township allows the property owner posing the risk to flout the law without consequence. What is the criteria is for getting the township to enforce the law evenly and equitably for all its residents? This question is for the mayor, who is ultimately responsible for the actions or inaction of the chief administrative officer and the officers enforcing property maintenance code, as well as for council, who have legislated the laws of the township that are being selectively or arbitrarily applied or not respected at all. Why is it that some residents have easy access to law enforcement and property maintenance code enforcement, and others have to battle for months on end to get same or to no protection from the township? Please explain the reason for the disparity. End of comment.
Thank you. Solicitor Richardson?
Yes, President Woods.
I believe Ms. Bradley had received a letter from us.
She has. She
Okay.
has not responded.
I believe Council President Wentz is requesting if you had a copy of that letter to go over it just real quick. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
President Wentz, would you like me to read the letter directly?
Yes, please. That would be great. Thank you.
Dear Ms., this letter is dated February 17, 2021. Dear Ms. Bradley, this letter is to provide the township's response to your correspondence to township staff and council members regarding the condition of the tulip poplar tree, quote, the tree, located at 1217 Morgan Avenue. The township has received several right-to-know law requests concerning this matter, which will be addressed under the following procedure set forth in 65 PS 67.101 et sec. We spoke on January 22nd, 2021, regarding your concerns about the tulip tree's condition. During this conversation, you noted that an inspector from the township's licenses and inspection, L&I, noted his concerns with the condition of the tree. Immediately after our conversation, I spoke with L&I, which provided me with two reports, one from you, Michael Kozanecki of Executive Tree Care, and the other from Mr. McDevitt by Michael Gillian of MG Tree. After reading the reports, it became clear that the township's December 24th, 2020 letter issuing a citation for Mr. McDevitt to remove the tree was issued in error. Neither report stated that the tree needed to be taken down. Specifically, the report provided by Mr. McDevitt was the most extensive in its commentary. It provided the following, quote, "The tree does not have any cavities on the trunk or show any obvious signs of rotting," end quote. It also noted that quote, "the canopy is full and has no visible dead branches," end quote. Mr. Gillian stated that, quote, "even though the trunk is solid and the canopy appears to be healthy," he noted two concerns. First, there's a 6-inch diameter dead branch lodged in a canopy and should be removed before it becomes dislodged. Second, Mr. Gillian noted that the tree has, quote, "multiple sucker growth growing from the trunk," end quote, which indicates that the tree is, quote, "in distress and declining." Notwithstanding his observations, he did not recommend removing the tree, but performing a soil injection. He also suggested that Mr. McDevitt have a resistograph test completed to, quote, detect wood decay, stages of rot, hollow area, crack, and ring structure. I reviewed the letter dated January 30th, 2021 by Catherine Belville, Master Arborist PD number 42. At this time, Ms. Belville concluded that the tree only has, quote, "a probable risk of failure," end quote. She was unable to pinpoint the timeline of when the failure will become, quote, "imminent." The township has not changed its position from our conversation January 25th, 2021. The issue is a dispute between two property owners. Because no report has provided that the tree is an immediate risk of failure, the township has closed this file regarding this matter. However, you are more than welcome to pursue any and all civil remedies available. So ends the letter.
Thank you very much for reading that. Great. And then we're getting ready for the next public comment. One sec. Lost my timer. And go.
Kathleen Weber, 7215 Glenthorne Road. I would like to bring up an issue that has been around for a while. From what I am able to understand, the no parking of truck or commercial vehicle signs has been in the township for about 3 decades now. I believe it is time to review this policy as the trend toward SUVs has come about. Many SUVs are the size and length of several light-duty trucks today. I am not asking for a change regarding commercial vehicles, just light-duty trucks. As many of you are aware, the demographics of Upper Darby Township has changed considerably over the course of those years, especially in the past 10 years. The number of homeowners who continue to actively reside in their homes has dropped. Several have gone to renting their properties and living somewhere else. The majority of those homeowners that remain are senior citizens, blue-collar workers like electricians, construction laborers, or similar, or in service industries like food services, childcare providers, and other lower-end paying occupations. I own my home, not the bank. My husband and I purchased this house in 1992. He passed away almost 5 years ago. My current partner works a blue-collar job as a maintenance person for a large wire distribution company. He has to transport his tools and needs the truck. It is not a company vehicle. It is his own personal vehicle. I personally live at 7215 Glenthorne Road in Upper Darby. There is no place for our 2001 Ford F-150 to park except on the street. There are no parking lots that allow overnight parking of the vehicle. Even the municipal parking lots forbid overnight parking of trucks. The number of places that these light-duty trucks can park at all are so few as to be non-existent. So where are we able to park? Can't we consider a type of parking sticker like East Lansdowne has that would identify homeowner light-duty trucks? Why do I feel like the township wants all of the blue-collar people who have light-duty trucks to suffer, or better yet, move away? Are you looking to drive poorer, less well-off residents out of the township? I am 62 years old. Where am I going to go? I can't afford to move. This is just the latest of insults to longtime homeowners in the township. Last month's proclamation of all those permits many knew would be required, making it impossible for us to do even simple home repairs without hiring very expensive contractors to submit permit requests with plans and do the work so an inspector can come out to inspect the work. Are you kidding me? I can't even repair cracks in my cement or fix the steps of my home without needing to pump out hundreds or thousands of dollars to do the work. Last year, it was home reassessment. As a homeowner, I can tell you that we are being crushed and need relief. Give us a break. Thank you. Kathleen Weber. End of comment.
Okay, great. We have had some discussions on the truck situation because as she pointed out, a lot of residents are own trucks these days. So that's definitely something that we can look into. As far as the resolution 0421 that never got passed, it actually didn't even get a motion to approve. It actually went back to council's committees and is being worked on as we speak. So thank you very much for those concerns. Anyone else wanted to respond? Councilman?
Good evening. I did talk with Miss Kathleen, and she was talking about this letter, exactly what she write it down, and then I did talk with her that we have a meeting on this Wednesday, and then please make a note to our council meeting, and our council will decide what you can do, something better for you.
Right. So we'll take it to committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Phillips?
Yeah, I have a question. So I just want to be clear. So she's asking for commercial trucks to be allowed to park?
No, she's asking because more and more residents now have trucks, Ford trucks, SUVs that would be where the signs used to, certain areas, the signs say no trucks or commercial vehicles. So the request is to take the trucks off the sign and keep it commercial vehicles, so that residents who own trucks can park their personal vehicle that happens to be a truck or a truck-like vehicle on the street because it's their personal vehicle and not a commercial truck.
Right, that's what I asked. I was asking. She wants the trucks to be stated, but not commercial vehicles.
Right. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Right. Yeah, because a resident also reached out to me that lives on that same block, and that was her issue also about the commercial vehicles and trucks being stayed there overnight. So.
Right. Well, so some commercial vehicles are the residents' vehicles as well, but she wants to make sure that their personal truck that isn't a commercial vehicle could be there.
Right.
So, okay. Councilman Silva?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's I guess it's my understanding, maybe it's incorrect, but isn't that sort of how that is enforced currently? That commercial vehicles are usually ticketed, but not usually like light duty trucks or SUVs. I mean, to be honest, at this point, like the line of what is an SUV and what's like a sedan or like a wagon is sort of pretty blurry anyway. But it's but it was sort of my understanding that like a box truck would be fine for something like that, where a pickup truck probably wouldn't. Is that incorrect?
I think it depends on the sign. If the sign says trucks and commercial vehicles, then they both get ticketed. If it only says commercial vehicles and only commercial vehicles with a logo of a business on it gets ticketed. Alexis shaking her head. Alexis?
We don't have signs that are just specific to commercial vehicles. The current ordinance is no parking of trucks and commercial vehicles. The ordinance was made a long time ago when pickup trucks were not really personal vehicles. So there is a difference between a work vehicle or a commercial vehicle. Someone can park a dump truck on your street. The people, this woman specifically is questioning if you have a personal vehicle. We've had a lot of residents question about a personal pickup truck, that their argument is no larger than a lot of SUVs. So they want it separated between personal pickup trucks and commercial vehicles. But right now it's lumped in one. We don't have it separated out.
So that's saying that we definitely need to take to committee to work on. Okay, great. Councilman Gwynn, did you still have a question? You got to unmute yourself.
Basically, it's driven based upon what the truck is licensed or the vehicle is licensed. SUVs are considered cars, and they do not carry a truck license or tag. The people that do have a small truck, theirs is a truck and is labeled as such. And that's what the police use to make the determination when they did enforce it.
Okay, Councilman Burke, did you still have a question, or you no longer have one question?
No, just what Councilman Gwynn said. It's about your license plate on your vehicle. If it says truck, it's a truck. I mean, that's the state law. That's not Upper Darby. It's what the state does. So,
right, but
public safety and parking can look into this at for next month. So,
right.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so for the next public comment, and go.
Lonnie Johnson, 326 Huntley Road. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. CAO, and Township Council members. Recently and in the past, there has been a problem with bulk and/or large amounts of trash not being collected at various homes that share the driveway located between the 300 blocks of Huntley and Avon roads. I've reached out to various departments, the request line, and my representatives, past and present, but the problem still remains the same. In addition, now there's a neighbor who's dumping and spreading demolition debris throughout the driveway and possibly into the storm drain instead of taking it to the dump. This issue has been reported to several sources as well. Please advise. End of comment.
Okay. Councilman Tunis?
Yeah, the constituent did reach out, and I do believe the administration is aware of it. I personally will reach out to him tomorrow and also check in on the status of that. But just living close to the property myself, I have seen that and I will second that. But I do believe the administration is aware of it.
Thank you. Okay. And next.
Spiro Pappas, 2423 Cedar Lane. Hi, Township Council. My name is Spiro Pappas. I live at 2423 Cedar Lane, Drexel Hill. I'm calling today to voice my opinion, objection to Ordinance 3093. Exactly what is sexually offensive? Look what recently happened with Mr. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, and so on. What is next? I think there are more important issues at stake, like keeping our streets safe and having faith in our police to uphold the law. They have the toughest job in the township. Stop trying to undermine them by wearing body cameras and saying it's for transparency. Anyway, case in point, I hope council votes no on Ordinance 3093 because I feel it violates our First Amendment rights in the United States Constitution for freedom of speech. Thank you and have a nice day. End of comment.
Okay. We're going to be talking about the ordinance later, so I think we're going to wait for that. And next one, go.
Kyle Johnson, 942 Stanbridge Road. Good evening, council and other township officials on the call. I am emailing to say thank you for council's decision on moving the township calendar designation of spring holiday back to Good Friday. I thought the discussion in the previous council meeting was very positive and many good points were brought up from council members on both sides of the aisle. I think all residents of Upper Darby would like to see a township calendar with the various religious and cultural holidays its residents celebrate. This could be a great way for us all to learn of each other's cultures and religions. It would be beneficial for educational links to be attached to this calendar as well. Links to information for us to learn more specifically about the holidays and celebrations. I know comments were made in efforts to deflect or rationalize changing the name under the guise of it being a trash and recycle calendar. However, there is no such designation on the upperdarby.org website. Instead, the calendar header simply states Township Holidays and Events. I also have a public comment regarding ordinance number 3092. This ordinance has some glaring provisions that are vague. The one that I believe requires the most attention is the phrase, quote, alter the essential character of the neighborhood or district in which it is located, end quote, in reference to the group home. So I pose this question: what is the legal definition, or how will the ordinance itself define essential character? Please advise the residents what metrics will be used to determine if the current essential character of the neighborhood or district is altered by these group or sober homes. Could these metrics include things like police responses, official complaints to the township, etc.? I hope these vital questions can be addressed before any ordinance is considered for enactment. Thank you all for your efforts and dedication to our township. End of comment, and that is the last public comment.
Okay. Okay. Anyone want to tackle any of that? So ordinance 3092 is not before us at this point in time. It will be discussed in April.
Because it has to be sent to the Delaware County Planning Department per the MPC. It was obviously discussed. There was a motion made to advertise and was going to require a hearing and then adoption of the ordinance before anything's moved on. I'll be happy to address any questions then.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. All right, so we are moving on to the Honorable Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer.
Good evening, everybody. I have a couple updates. On Monday, Governor Tom Wolf announced changes to the COVID-19 mitigation restrictions that are now in effect statewide, including the elimination of out-of-state travel restrictions. While the number of COVID-19 cases in Pennsylvania is currently on the decline, it is critically important that everyone continues to wear a mask, wash your hands frequently, and practice social distancing. The COVID-19 virus remains a serious threat, and our vigilance against it cannot be relaxed and should not be relaxed. Regarding the COVID-19 vaccine shortage in Upper Darby and Delaware County, local, county, and state officials have been advocating since early on in the rollout to increase the number of vaccines that are sent to Delaware County each week by the federal distribution system. We do understand that many residents are frustrated by the situation, and we appreciate your collective continued patience as the county works to get everyone vaccinated as soon as possible. For all the latest information regarding the vaccine process, please visit Delaware County's website, delcapa.gov/COVID, or contact the Delaware County COVID-19 call center at 484-276-2100. That's 484-276-2100. I am pleased to announce that on Wednesday, March 10th, which is a week from today, at 7 p.m., we will hold a virtual public presentation of the plans for the new Upper Darby Community Center. This will be a chance for the public to review the initial design and provide input on this very important project. Please register for the Zoom meeting at www.upperdarby.org or call 610-734-7625. That's 610-734-7625 and register by phone. I encourage as many residents as possible to participate and assist in making this a true community center. On March 11th, we will be participating in an event with Habitat for Humanity called Women Build. A group of volunteers will be doing a landscaping project at the home of an Upper Darby veteran. Thank you to the nonprofit organization Heroic Gardens for their help in this endeavor. And we are very excited to welcome Habitat for Humanity into Upper Darby with several projects that they do. And we will continue to keep you updated on that. We're also excited to announce that a new service, weekly yard waste collection, will begin in our township starting on Monday, April 5th, and continuing until Friday, November 19th. Yard waste collection will be weekly on your regularly scheduled recycling pickup day. And yard waste is defined as leaves, garden residues, shrubbery, tree trimmings, 4 inches or less in diameter, which is less than the caliper explained in those earlier land development proposals. And so 4 inches less in diameter and less than 3 feet long and similar material. Please note that grass clippings are not considered yard waste. Do not use plastic bags to recycle your yard waste. Instead, place it in a biodegradable paper bag or loose in trash cans without bags. And you can pick up these bags at some of our local hardware stores like Burr Hill on Vermont Avenue. And we have Ace Hardware on Marshall Road. And of course, Home Depot and Lowe's also has these bags. The Darby Creek Valley Association's annual cleanup will take place on Saturday, April 10th from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. Already, there are several sites that are included amongst their list of cleanup sites. Please visit dcva.org / watershed -cleanups to register at a specific site. But the DCVA is also looking for people to serve as site captains. And if there's a spot in Upper Darby that's not already captain, please consider registering because many hands make lighter work. So this month, March, obviously, is Women's History Month. And I would like to issue a proclamation in recognition of this very important annual event. So brace yourselves. Here we go. Here's the Women's History Month proclamation. Whereas women of every race, ethnic background, and socioeconomic status have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of Upper Darby and the United States of America in countless ways. Whereas the national theme for Women's History Month 2021, Valiant Women of the Vote, Refusing to be Silenced, continues the celebration of the Women's Suffrage Centennial. And whereas women have played and continue to play vital economic, cultural, and social roles in every aspect of life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force, working both inside and outside of the home. And whereas women have played a unique role throughout the history of our nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of our nation. And whereas women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation. And whereas women of every race, ethnic background, and socioeconomic status served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. And whereas women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements which foster a more fair and just society for everyone. And whereas the Upper Darby community celebrates all the women, both seen and unseen, who have contributed to its success. Now, therefore, I, Barbara Ann Keffer, Mayor of Upper Darby Township, along with Township Council, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2021 as Women's History Month in Upper Darby Township. And we encourage all Upper Darby residents to honor women's roles and achievements in American history and culture. And just
Thank you very much for that.
thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Keffer, for that proclamation and acknowledging all the hard work of women in our history. And many of us wouldn't be leaders today if it wasn't for those who came before us. So thank you very much for acknowledging them. Council, so next up is actually my report. Council has been meeting in committees, working on actually resolution 0421 and working with L&I Director Chris McSween and CAO Rangione and Mayor Keffer to, looking back at the resolution, breaking it down into ways that is better understood by all, as well as making the fee structures make more sense for us, taking it so that taking in all the concerns of the residents and council. So the committees are still working on that, and we're, so they've been doing an excellent job meeting and working through that with Chris McSween. Council members have been attending a variety of events, food distributions. State reps Davidson and Zabel had a great shredding event, along with working with the county district attorney's office for old drugs being collected and so forth. So that happened last Saturday. That was a great event. Many council members were there. And then council also has been contributing to the events committee Black History Month event on our the Township Council social media page. A Woman Every Day was recognized during Black History Month, and for Women's History Month, we're doing the same thing for all women are being recognized, and they'll talk more about that in the future of this meeting. And I just wanted to point out that when we successfully codified our ordinances and resolutions last year through the website, it made it a lot easier for people to find important information, to look up any of our ordinances and resolutions. And a week ago, someone stumbled across something that they found offensive, and they reached out to us, and we, or within a week or two of, and basically the point is that their concerns were shared with many council members, and thusly there is an ordinance going to be discussed tonight on one of those such cases. And we do realize that there are plenty of there's probably many other ordinances in our in our codification that doesn't quite line up with things that we want to be doing at this point in time, like the resident talking about the trucks versus commercial trucks. So if you do come across something that you do not like, please send it to council so that we can look at it. You can send it to council@upperdarby.org, or you can send it to any of the council members individually. So I just wanted to thank residents who expressed their concerns and sent it to us so that we could work on it. And thanks to our solicitors for their quick action to make some magic happen for us. So just wanted to thank everyone for all your hard work. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you. Okay, so next up, committee reports. We're starting with Planning, Zoning, and Building Code Committee. Co-chairs Gwynn and Billups. Members Bonnet and Tunis Jr. Solicitor Kilkenny, can you give us a reading of resolution number 11-21?
Be happy to. Hold on a second. Let me grab it. Yep. Okay. All right. Council President Wentz, this is for 5202 West Baltimore Avenue, the Wawa, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes. All right. Obviously, there was a very detailed presentation this evening from Mr. McHugh and members of his team, including his engineer. So I'm going to go down to the therefore portions of this resolution. And as I said, this resolution will change pursuant to Mr. Galante's input and our conversations with Mr. McHugh's office. So condition number 1, prior to recording the plan, the applicant shall address the comments and conditions contained in the December 1st, 2020 engineering letter. 2, prior to the recording of the plan, the applicant shall address all applicable comments contained in November 20th, 2020 Delaware County Planning Department review letter. 3, prior to recording the plan, applicant shall address all applicable comments contained in the February 25th, 2021 Albert Federico Consulting LLC traffic review letter, the satisfaction of the township traffic engineer, except as to the extent any comments are superseded by or inconsistent with PennDOT Highway Occupancy Permit 06098609 issued to the applicant dated June 20th, 2019. Applicant shall comply with the Upper Darby Township Zoning Hearing Board's decision of October 26, 2017 and November 11, 2019, and all conditions opposed therein. Applicant shall comply with all applicable consistent provisions of the township's prior approval resolution 2018, which was discussed this evening. Applicant shall obtain any necessary approvals and reviews from the township engineer, township traffic engineer, Delaware County Planning Department, Pennsylvania DEP, PennDOT, or any other necessary outside agency. 7, applicant must complete all required easements and or maintenance agreements or declarations included, but not limited to stormwater management facilities and maintenance agreement and form satisfactory to the township engineer and solicitor. 8, a revised reportable plan shall ultimately be submitted for township administrator review and approval that addresses all requests for further plan details, additions, corrections, and clarifications set forth in the above mentioned review letters. 9, prior to recording the plan, applicant shall execute a land development agreement and financial security agreement drafted by the township solicitor and post financial security in the form of a letter of credit in the form approved by the solicitor. 10, all reasonable outstanding township fees, township engineering fees, and township legal fees, and any other professional fees associated with the review and approval of the application and plans shall be paid in full before the plan is recorded in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. 11, applicant shall record new deeds for each lot in association with the recording of the plan. 12, prior to recording the plan, applicant shall deposit a reasonable sum to be determined by the township engineer, and a cash escrow with the township as described in the improvement and financial securities agreements, and for reimbursement of the township's reasonable engineering, inspection, legal, and administrative costs and expenses related to the reviews. Waivers, we went through those with the applicant, but waiver number 1 will be of section 300-1, that the preliminary plan and final plan be considered separate submissions. 2, 817D3C, that 1 3-inch caliber shade tree shall be planted for every 5 parking spaces is hereby approved or denied. Again, there will be a fee in lieu of if the engineers cannot come to an agreement. Sections 817E2-3, that 1 3-inch to 3.5-inch caliber specimen deciduous tree shall be planted for every 100-foot length of building perimeter. 2 8-foot, 8-inch to 10-foot high flowering trees or evergreen trees must be provided for every 100-foot length of building perimeter, and 3 evergreen and or deciduous shrubs must be planted for every 20 feet or building perimeter is hereby approved or denied. Again, if there's a discrepancy, we'll have a recommendation from our engineer. Then there is section 804A2, the driveways on the collector streets be collected to a minimum of 200 feet from the closest intersecting street. Section 805A3, the maximum grade of any driveway within the right of way of any street may be 4% is hereby approved or denied. And then finally, section 805C4, the non-residential driveway intersecting arterial trees shall be deep enough to allow for the stacking a minimum of 3 cores is hereby approved or denied. Waivers 4, 5, and 6. The applicant's attorney emailed me at around 5 o'clock tonight saying that these were already granted in the prior resolution for land development. I haven't yet a chance to check that out, but I will let you know if they were, and if they were, then those provisions would be removed. And that concludes the reading of this resolution, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns on this resolution?
I have a question.
Yep.
So earlier they kept saying 6%, but on here it says 4%.
Yeah, we'll, I haven't, again, I got this information at 5 o'clock tonight. I will speak to Mr. Galante, and have Mr. Galante confer with their engineer, and we'll make the appropriate change. It'll be accurate in the final version.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Gwynn?
Just a quick comment. Some of the wording that he read was different than the wording that we got in our printout. So just minor changes.
No, there will be, and this resolution has been evolving over the last couple of days. Again, I wanted to get a version in council's hand, realizing it may not be the final version, but just something to start from to have a context going forward.
Thank you. I just want to confirm.
Yep.
Any other council members have any questions? Okay, so Councilman Gwynn, do you want to check with your committee to make sure that they're cool with this moving on to the next meeting's
Yes.
agenda?
Ms. Billups, Hotfeast, and Mr. Burnett, do you have any issues that you want to address before we move it on?
I'm fine with moving it forward.
Yeah, Mr. Tunis is fine also.
Okay, Michelle
Ms.
Billups?
Billows is fine also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from council have anything that they wish to bring up? Anybody from the administration? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on.
Great. Wonderful. And then did you want to complete your committee report as far as a whole outside of this resolution?
We are still working on that one resolution.
4221 Fern, is that what you're talking about?
We don't have anything on that.
Right.
Nothing was, it's not in our realm.
No, he was talking about 0421, the one
Yes.
that we broke down into different sections
Yeah,
to
we
committees.
we still have
I
to,
Okay.
we still have to meet with Mr. McSween to go over certain things on that, for the finance as well as the zoning portion of it. So that's still being hashed out. Thank you. We'll moving
Continue
on.
with your committee report on if anyone else from your committee has anything else for zoning.
No, nobody else has.
Well, they were specifically speaking about the resolution to move it forward. Did you want to check with them on anything else that they have to bring to zoning?
You're already doing that. Does anybody
Okay.
have anything? Okay.
All right. Great. All right, great. So next up, we have Law and Government and Rules and Procedures Committee. Co-chairs Phillips and Silva, members Sadiq and Blackwell. We have Resolution 1221. Solicitor Kilkenny, could you give us a reading on
Sure.
this?
Hold on a second. Okay. Yep. This is, yep. This is the, so it was alluded to previously that there was an informational session before council, an informational executive session. So resolution 1221, which won't be acted upon tonight, but will, was discussed both in that, not discussed, but presented in that informational executive session, and is here for council to discuss tonight, deals with the destruction of municipal records. So as you know, Upper Darby is a very old township. There are voluminous records from different eras of Upper Darby. And there's a way to handle that, as Upper Darby and many other townships throughout the Commonwealth are drowned in paper and other records. So the General Assembly in 1968 passed the law on how you're to deal with that. And essentially what you're going to do, it defines records. It defines also categories of records and how you can dispose of them. There's a whole schedule on the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission's website giving information about this. Basically says what records are eligible to be destroyed and when can you destroy them. So why would you want to do that? Obviously, the biggest issue is space management. And you don't have the opportunity to hold all these records on site or municipal hall or even off-site, because that could get very expensive. So obviously anything like zoning records and such, those are kept in files and are kept in perpetuity. And I know Mr. Rangione answered a question of a councilor previously about the municipality going ahead and digitizing a great deal of their records. And I know that's a process that's moving forward in Upper Darby, but it's expensive. So the township wants to make sure that records that are necessarily not needed are disposed of by law, and the records that we do need and are required to keep are digitized. So now I'm going to go ahead and, that was kind of some background so people understand the context of why this is happening. This is not novel for Upper Darby. This is pursuant to a state law that we're just following. And now I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution. So whereas the recognition for the need of workable local records management program in Pennsylvania led to the passage of the Pennsylvania Records Act of 1968 and the creation of the Commonwealth Local Governments Records Committee, whereas the committee's responsibility is to develop records retention and disposition schedules for each municipal office, whereas municipal officers are authorized by the Municipal Records Act 53 PACS 1381 to dispose of records in accordance with schedules and guidelines that have been approved by the committee. Whereas the committee established a retention and disposition schedule for records of the Pennsylvania municipal governments in the records retention municipal records manual created on December 16, 2008. Whereas the goal of the establishment of the records disposition procedures for the use of the township will help ensure the preservation of records of permanent value and encourage the destruction of non-essential records when appropriate. Whereas Upper Darby Townships intends to follow the schedules and procedures for the disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal Records Manual. Whereas the township desires to dispose of records according to statutory requirements. And whereas in accordance with Act 428 of 1968, each individual act of disposition shall be approved by resolution of the municipality. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of Upper Darby, Delaware County, in accordance with the above cited municipal records, hereby authorizes the disposition of the following public records. 1, oath of office of the mayor and council members prior to 2014. 2, financial disclosure ethics form from elected officials and candidates prior to 2015, adopted and resolved today in council chambers. And one other thing I forgot to mention, once this becomes a process, it is not uncommon for municipalities to go ahead and pass several of these a year as they go through their older records. I know the CAO said that's a process that he is beginning here in Upper Darby. So I would anticipate the council will see future resolutions with other records on them. And that concludes my reading and brief summary of this resolution, Madam President.
Great. Thank you very much for that reading and explanation and for the executive session training that you gave us on this information in further detail, of course. Is there anyone that has any questions or concerns on this resolution? Councilman Siddiq?
We are under county and state. There's anything to say, or we have to take permission from the county or the state, because end of the day we are liable to our county, and then above the county the states.
So the county has no authority over us on records that I am aware of. This is a state statute, Pennsylvania statute, that allows municipalities to include home rule municipalities, boroughs, first class, second class townships, and cities form of government on how they dispose of records. I'm not aware of any county obligation in Delaware County or anywhere else in additional to the state requirements.
Thank you.
And Delaware County, for example, they're required to keep their own records. They would, I assume, will follow this law as well. So.
Great. Any other? Okay. Ms. Phillips and Mr. Silva, do you want to take account of your committee to see if they're cool with moving this forward?
So anyone from Law and Government and Rules and Procedures Committee, are you okay with moving this resolution forward?
I am.
Councilor Gwen?
Yes, move forward.
Councilor Blackwell? You're muted, but I can see your head shaking, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So we're all good with that, Council President Wentz.
Awesome.
Does anyone from the committee have anything for Law and Government? Anyone from council? I think that concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So, actually, we do have one more thing for you. It was on the flip side of the page.
Is the resolution being voted on the 17th then? Because the
Yes.
one I'm looking at is for the, okay.
Yep, we had a confusion of the dates.
Yeah.
So the resolutions will be voted on at the next meeting. And actually, when we flip our page for our agenda, we do have one more thing for law and government. We have the introduction of ordinance number 3093. Solicitor Richardson, can you give us a brief give us a summary on it so we can have discussion before the official first reading?
This is an ordinance that is repealing ordinance 2693, which regulates the sale, rental, distribution, exhibition, publication, lending, giving away, or showing of obscene and other sexual material in its entirety. This language was found by a citizen of Upper Darby regarding language referring to homosexuality as patently offensive. After conversations with President Wentz, it was thought that the language was offensive to the community as a whole, and as a result, our office, drafted this ordinance.
Great. Does council have any questions or concerns on this ordinance? Councilman Gwynn? And then I see Bennett. Councilman Gwynn, you gotta unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself. There you
One minor issue, spelling error in the ordinance structure. Entirety's not spelled right.
So Councilman Gwen, I actually
He's
did.
right on my copy.
So sure, I sent you everyone on council an updated version of the document. So
Okay.
that should be addressed.
Great. Councilman Bennett. Councilman Bennett.
Yes, thank you. Courtney, I have not seen the update as of yet, of course, but we are repealing an ordinance that was adopted about 34 years ago, it appears. But we're by virtue of 3093, if we adopt that, I understand that it appears to me that we're repealing the entirety of ordinance 2693. Is that correct?
That is correct, Councilor Bennett.
Okay.
We are.
And I do realize and certainly accept the fact that opinions and respect to certain opinions have changed in that period of time and should be reconciled in current legislation. But I question, why are we to do just that? Why are we repealing the entire ordinance and not just adopting a new ordinance with most of what was enacted and with the necessary changes being made?
That's a great question, Councilor Bennett. If you look at the Pennsylvania Crimes Code actually covers obscene and other sexual materials and performances. So this ordinance in Upper Darby Township was actually duplicative. The Upper Darby Township Police, and in addition to the Attorney General as necessary, have the full authority to the Pennsylvania Crimes Code. This ordinance was not necessary. So that's why it's being repealed in total. But the subject matter that's covered by the ordinance is still in effect under the Crimes Code.
All right, I'm certainly going to take an opportunity to obtain a copy of ordinance 2693 that was adopted in 1987. So I have a direct comparison. And how would you advise me that I could obtain the appropriate relative provisions of the Pennsylvania Crime Code to look at that as well?
Most certainly, Councilor Bennett. What I can do is send both of those documents out. I can actually give you the citation for your records and for council's notification.
All right. Well, thank you, Courtney. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you. Councilwoman Faralia?
I was going to just ask for the same thing. Can I have a copy of the ordinance from before so I can compare it and see what's not going to be.
Yes, we'll send out those documents. Councilman Silva, I thought I saw your hand.
Yes, actually, but I was just going to raise the same point that Solicitor Richardson raised, so I didn't really feel like it was necessary.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns on this ordinance?
Well, actually, one other thing, we are going to like review. I mean, the point of repealing this ordinance now, I think is an important one, just because, I mean, as Mike, as Councilman Bennett said, it doesn't really reflect the feelings of the time or of this body of council. But we certainly are going to like consider. I mean, as a father and as somebody who who lives here, I certainly do understand that there is a need to keep some things, I guess, from like maintain a certain level of public decency, and I believe that law and government will look into passing something that is more reflective of our values of inclusion as well. So
great, thank you.
Council President Wentz, too, when there's an opportunity, I'd like to comment on something.
Yes, please go ahead.
Just real quick, right to that point, Councilor Silva, definitely agree with you. And that was part of the reason why when this was presented to us, our information, realizing it was duplicative with state law, we thought the easiest thing to do was to, if it concerned people in Upper Darby, to get it out of or take it out of Upper Darby law and rely back on the state law for a couple of reasons. One is the Upper Darby police would cite under the crimes code, right? They're not going to be citing under a local ordinance. They were going to be relying on the guidance from the district attorney's office and citing the state law, not a local ordinance. And number two is we all know the General Assembly amends the crimes code and other laws from time to time as values change in society and such. So what we would want to do is, obviously, as we've learned through the codification process, Upper Darby's got a lot of laws, right? And not everybody is necessarily monitoring them and seeing if this law that was passed 35 years ago mirrors the current state law on the issue and who's actually checking that. So we thought it was best, being that it was really a state law issue, and the Upper Darby Police and the Delaware County District Attorney's Office would be the ones prosecuting these offenses, not municipal government, that the state law that's on the books is the one that be used so that there's no confusion.
Thank you for that clarification. Yes, this was an issue that was brought up by a resident who looked up obscene material in our codification website and was very offended by what he found in the original ordinance. And then as a result, the LGBTQ plus community responded with their concerns as well. And so I had assigned it to law and government right away, and then the council's members started working on it right away and expressed their concerns. So that's part of the reason why we're here discussing it at this time. So I just wanted to give that little bit of background. Councilman Tunis?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm happy that we're able to be codified and residents could be able to access this information. I'm hoping, I think it may start a domino effect of residents looking at what else we haven't updated. I wasn't there 34 years ago, but it's just very, and to be fair, I hear a lot of the comment that 30 years ago was different and things like that. But to be honest, a lot of people have been hearing that their whole lives, that things are different in the past, especially people that look like me. So I don't think that's necessarily the case. I feel like there was ample time to correct this. It hasn't been corrected, but I'm happy that we have a council and as well as administration that can correct things like this now.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Phillips and Mr. Silva, do you want to pull your committee to see if we're ready to make a motion on this for advertisement and introduction?
So anyone is the committee ready to move forward with this motion to advertise?
I am, yes.
Okay,
Second.
I think we're all set.
Okay, so can we get a official first reading of this ordinance?
Yes, Council President Wentz. And just for council's, per council's request, the previous ordinance 2693 and the link to the state code is now in your email, so you have it.
Thank you.
You're awesome, Solicitor Richardson. Thank you.
This is an ordinance of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, repealing ordinance 2693, regulating the sale, rental, distribution, exhibition, publication, lending, giving away, or showing of obscene and other sexual material in its entirety, repealing inconsistent ordinances and resolutions, and providing an effective date. Whereas the township is a home rule charter township, are organized and operating in accordance with the charter of the Township of Upper Darby as permitted by the Home Rule Charter and Optional Plans Law 53 PACS 2901 et sec. And whereas on November 11, 2020, Township Council passed Ordinance 3082 codifying laws passed over the last 70 years. And whereas through codification, Council learned that on March 4th, 1987, Council passed Ordinance 93, which regulated the sale, rental, distribution, exhibition, publication, lending, giving away, or showing obscene and other sexual material. And whereas the Pennsylvania Crimes Code 18 PACS 101 et sec also covers, quote, obscene and other sexual materials and performances, end quote. And whereas this ordinance included reference to physical sexual conduct, which included homosexuality as a, quote, patently offensive representation. Whereas council finds this language is not representative of its views, is patently offensive to the LGBTQIA+ community and the Upper Darby community as a whole, and violative of the township's quest towards full diversity and inclusion, and now therefore being enacted and ordained by the Upper Darby Township Council and is hereby repealed as follows. Section 1, Upper Darby Township Ordinance 2693 is hereby repealed in its entirety. The Code of Ordinances of the Township shall be amended to reflect the repeal of Ordinance 2693. Section 2, Township Administration is hereby authorized to take any and all actions necessary and proper to nullify any and all actions which were taken in accordance with this ordinance. Section 3, there's a repealer, a severability, and this section and this ordinance will be effective immediately following its legal enactment and shall remain in effect hereafter until revised, amended, or revoked by action of the Upper Darby Township Council. So ends the reading.
Great, thank you. I realized there was a little confusion earlier at this point in time since we had the official first reading. Can we get an official motion to introduce and advertise ordinance number 3093?
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
This. And Phillips. Are there any questions or concerns on the advertisement of an introduction of this ordinance? Councilwoman Faralia, is your hand up from earlier?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't missing you on something. Okay, so are we all, any questions or concerns? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of introduction and advertisement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Opposed, say your
Isn't
name.
this a roll call vote?
Oh, good
I
point.
apologize.
Because it's an ordinance and it's Ms. Phillips' roll call vote. Thank you, Councilman Silva. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Tunis,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phillips is a yes. Councilor Silva,
Yes.
Councilor Blackwell,
Yes.
Councilor Gwynn,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Sadiq,
Yes.
Councilor Faralia,
Yes.
Councilor Barnett,
Yes.
Counselor Wagner,
Yes.
and Council President Wentz.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Wonderful. Great. So next up, we have the Finance and Appropriations Committee, co-chairs Gwynn and Silva, members Blackwell and Burke.
Anybody from the committee have anything to bring before this body? Anybody on council have anything to bring forward? Anybody in the administration? Seeing none, hearing none, moving on.
Great. Next up is Leisure Services Committee, co-chairs Tunis Jr. and Silva, members Faralia and Blackwell.
Does any of the members of the Leisure Service Committee have anything to bring forward? Does anyone from council? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to do like just a little review. I guess we met with members of the Recreation Committee over the Chapman Park and also at Observatory Hill Park for public meetings. And then also there was a public Zoom meeting regarding the attempt to gain funding for those two parks as well. So just wanted to include that. And it was a kind of a lively discussion with a lot of residents from there, and I thought it went very well. So thank you.
Just to piggyback off that, there were two meetings. There was also a meeting last night that Mayor Keffer's administration held regarding Chapman, the Observatory, and Naylor's Run. And just to echo what the mayor said, it may fall under leisure, it may not, but there will be another meeting on March 10th regarding the community center. The members of the committee, myself and Chairman Silva, will be sending out an email regarding some of the stuff on resolution number 0421. And President Wentz will be CC'd in that.
Great, thank you.
Does anyone from council have any questions or concerns for leisure services? Councilman Sadiq.
For everybody's information that Upper Darby School District is working on to build a elementary school on Cardington Field, which is the park and also recreation for this Cardington Field area residents. So there'll be more meeting in the future. So I want that next meeting I will inform all the council member, including the Leisure Service Committee, to join with us to build the school on Cardington Field.
Thank you, Councilman Sadiq. Does anyone else from council have anything to bring forward?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to also say that at the presentation at Chapman Park, Councilman Silva and I ended up speaking with some residents, and we went and checked out McKinley Park, which was just a few blocks away. And then actually Councilman Tunis, myself, and Councilman Burke was back there at McKinley Park this afternoon. And a lot of the issues that we had, or concerns that I addressed with the request line previously had been fixed when we were there today. So I just wanted to thank the administration for working your magic there. We do have some other concerns that I'll bring up with you guys separately, but I just wanted to say thank you for what you guys did do. So.
Okay, so also, Councilman Tunis?
Yeah, Councilwoman Blackwell.
On March 27th, we're going to be having a cleanup at 9 a.m. at the park at Parkview. So announcements and information will be going out regarding that. if any council would like to participate, as far as the mayor would be there as well, but that's what we're going to be doing. We're organizing cleanups. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Is it-
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Daniel, is it the Parkview Park or Parkview,
Yes.
Parkview section?
Parkview Park.
Parkview Park, okay.
Parkview
Yes.
Road at the corner of Parkview and, or pretty close to Parkview and Madison.
Okay.
I think
Okay,
there's
there's
There's a Parkview SEPTA train, 100 train station right there as well.
Exactly.
Does anyone else from council have anything to bring forward? All right, thank you, President Wentz.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee co-chairs Councilwoman Blackwell and Councilman Burke, members Tunis Jr. and Silva.
Does anybody from council have, from the committee have to bring anything forward?
Would it be appropriate to bring the
Sure.
agenda item for
Sure,
Madam
yeah.
Chairman?
Absolutely, go ahead, Hafiz.
Okay, so it's my first time bringing something forward like this, so I'm not sure the proper protocol, but I'm sure I'll learn. Essentially, I've been contacted by residents myself as well as President Wentz. I've been contacted by residents about some parking and some traffic issues regarding McKinley and Union, especially in regards to one of Upper Darby's historic pizza stops, Colonial Kitchen. So myself, President Wentz and Chairman Burke had the opportunity to meet with the owner this afternoon, and I'm trying to figure out how can we address this. And some of what we came up with is maybe a loading zone will be proper. It would the business has a private garbage company come and pick up their garbage. They also have loading and unloading all day with the delivery drivers. One of the issues they face, and as well as residents, is sometimes residents park in the area where they would have their drivers, and then also residents park across the street, which is actually has no parking. So we're trying to eliminate the chance of traffic. It's a really small street. We just want to give a little bit of opportunity for the business to be able to run their business, and then kind of address the parking issue too. It's kind of tough because it's one of the parts of the 7th that borders Lansdale. So I believe this would be a great solution to help all parties involved. But I also think it's appropriate for President Wentz and Chairman Burke, who also went out and saw the property, to speak their opinions on it.
Thank you. So one of the things that this particular business is running into a problem with is the space where his dumpster is just outside the back door of his business along McKinley. There's no actual driveway there, so it's just straight sidewalk. But so people end up parking right where he would need to bring his dumpster out to in order to have it picked up by his trash company. Residents have complained that the dumpster has been in a parking spot. And so there's that concern. There's also the concern of not just his deliveries that come in and so forth, but that of his delivery drivers who are taking food to residents throughout our community. And it's right before a stop sign. So I believe there's a certain spacing that you're not supposed to park in front of a stop sign. So there's space there for within his property line, if that along McKinley within his property line, within the spacing that's needed for the stop sign, that there be a load/unload zone for a 20-minute window between 7 a.m. and 12 a.m. because his business works throughout that entire time period of the day. And then that way his business can function. He'll work it out. He's going to try and work it out with his trash company to come within that window of time. They've been trying to come at like 6 o'clock in the morning, which is really early. So if we can get them to come later around the 7:30 range, then in theory, that space would be open for the trash truck to come and get the dumpster, to empty the dumpster, as well as the drivers being able to pull up to load and unload for deliveries, and then for deliveries coming into the business, as well as the drivers who are delivering to customers throughout the township. Councilman Burke?
Yes, thanks, President Wentz. Agree with everything President Wentz and Councilman Tunis has brought up. I think we'll have another meeting out there along with the police department to go over what we can and what we can't do legally with the stop sign. And just to let everybody know, it is only two and a half parking spots away from the playground. So, with the trash, the dumpster, we do want the dumpsters, regularly taken by the private hauler. And if you can't get to the dumpster, the sidewalk's a little too short, so the dumpster would have to either not get dumped or would overflow. So there is a safety concern on that end. So hopefully we can set up another meeting early next week and talk to Superintendent Bernhardt to have one of his officers come out there and look at the parking situation with us. So.
And Chairman Burke, if possible, I would ask if we could have all the members of, if the Public Safety Committee can make it, that would be awesome too.
Yes, that would be great.
Are there any questions or concerns on what we were just talking about?
Yeah, I would. When are we going to set up a time for that we could all attend? I would like to.
Yes, well, we'd have to talk to Superintendent Bernhardt to get Community Affairs Officer out there to take a look at what we can and what we can't do, or at least submit it to him.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Sadiq.
Is it two-way traffic or one-way traffic, that one?
It's two ways, McKinley.
Two-way McKinley. It's very narrow. It's very
narrow. And that was the big thing for residents because, like, for example, especially the Senate, one of the reasons why we're asking him to try to move his sanitation pick up a little later is because we have to get our sanitation trucks too, right? So if that street's cluttered, that could be a hard thing, especially post-COVID with kids going back to school. There may be school buses in the area. So the first plan is trying to help them get a loading zone. And then moving forward, we're going to try to see if we can enforce the no parking on the other side, which there's a sign up. So that way, we just got to take it one step at a time.
Right, there's a no parking, but there's also a 1 hour parking sign because there used to be business across the street. So we might also want to look into that 1 hour parking if that's something that's still practical for that area. Because if it could no parking on the other side of the street, then it would actually make more space for buses and trash trucks to get down McKinley.
Councilwoman,
how about you?
Councilwoman Phillips, did you have a question?
Yeah, so Councilor Tunis, I know you said it borders the 7th district, but where's the property line? I mean, will Lansdowne also have something to say about this? I'm just concerned about where's the property line and where they fit in.
I believe Lansdowne's on Union. I could be wrong about this, but I believe Lansdowne's on Union.
Yeah,
and then
it's McKinley and Union, and the other side of Union would be Lansdowne Avenue of McKinley and Union, which would be Lansdowne.
And
parking on McKinley, the section on the part of the business that's on McKinley itself, off of Union.
And that's where the dumpster is on McKinley.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's tucked in behind their building.
I know, because I go to Colonial Kitchen, and I'm telling you, I've never
great food, right?
Yeah, I've never seen the dumpster, so that's why I'm trying to figure out where it is.
Well, that's a good thing that you haven't seen the dumpster.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. So it's behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So if you went to the pizza place and you walk down McKinley heading towards the park, and you look to the left just at the end of their building, you would see it.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
We have to avoid two side parking. One side parking, maybe it will solve the problem.
But people do it all the time. Well, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Never mind. But people do it all the time.
So, okay.
Anybody else from council have anything to bring forward? Okay, Bob.
I'd like to have a one-way arrow sign put at the intersection on Bywood Avenue in Midvale, in the flow of traffic, which is one-way already. But some people, I've seen somebody this past week come down Midvale and then turn the wrong way in the opposite direction on Bywood Avenue.
Okay, we'll check into that. Councilwoman Blackwell?
So I'm not sure if this should go under the Events Planning Committee or Public Safety, but just for the record, for the constituents, we had a discussion regarding women who should be recognized. And as part of the Public Safety Committee, we did consider our police force, but that has not or will not be addressed at this time. But I don't want anyone to think that it wasn't overlooked, that we should recognize women in our Upper Darby Police Department.
Thank you, Councilwoman Blackwell. President Wentz, it seems like nobody else has anything to bring forward. Would you like to go to ordinance 3094?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, the sequence threw me off. So yes, so Solicitor Richardson, can you give us a brief so that we can have a little discussion on ordinance number 3094?
Sure. Thank you, President Wentz. So this particular ordinance is amending the impound and tow ordinance that just authorizes the police department to impound and tow. Prior to codification, there was another ordinance that allows the health department or the health inspector to impound and tow. This other ordinance was later in time, so it superseded the health department ordinance. But in most places, the police and the L&I, which is the health department, is now under license and inspection, has the right to tow. So this is just updating, giving the right for license inspection and the police department to tow, but then also is requiring some documentation that should be held by both departments in the event that they do tow.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns from council?
Yeah. Yeah, Bob.
I was going to ask, I appreciate the presentation that you had, but my question that I was formulating to begin with is why was the health department chosen and not the parking authority?
That was an ordinance, I believe, that was passed either sometime in the 80s or the 90s. So in other areas, license and inspection tend to tow because that's the first. I mean, parking may have the right if it's parked in an improper area, but normally that's going to be police. But in terms of a car that has expired registration, expired tags, that would be a license and inspection issue. So that's why the purview would fall under them. And as we know, earlier in the year, we collapsed the health department under license and inspection as a subunit.
President Wentz, I believe what Ms. Richardson just said, it falls under the property maintenance code. With an outdated vehicle. I believe that's correct, or is that why it went under L&I before?
In that particular, it was the health department ordinance. So that was actually prior to the passage of the property maintenance code.
Okay.
That happened, I would probably say, like I said, in the 80s or the 90s. That's what the original ordinance had. And then after that, there was another ordinance that gave the right to the police. And of course, there's a repealer. So that would supersede a previous one that was previous in time. So I mean, Councilman Burke, and I can definitely send the previous ordinance to you, but it was definitely typewritten and the pages looked a little yellow. So if that can give you an idea of how long ago that was.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So at this, so Councilman Burke, do you want to poll your committee?
Sure.
to see if they're-
Does anybody from the committee have anything to bring forward on this ordinance? Anybody from council have any questions? Seeing none, I believe this is a good ordinance, bringing both of them together. So all the unwanted cars, the cars that shouldn't be on the road, get towed by the proper departments. So I'd like to make a motion to advertise.
Before you do the motion to advertise, we have to have the official first reading. Yep, thank you. So if we can get the official first reading.
Thank you. Thank you, President Wentz. This is an ordinance of Upper Darby Township amending Chapter 532, impoundment and towing of vehicles, to authorize the Department of Licenses and Inspection to impound and tow vehicles. Whereas the Township Council adopted the Upper Darby Township Vehicle and Impoundment and Towing Code and Ordinance 2939 codified at Chapter 532 of the Upper Darby Code, which regulates vehicle impoundment and towing. Whereas the police department is the only township department authorized to impound and tow vehicles. Whereas council is desirous of authorizing the Department of Licenses and Inspection to impound and tow vehicles. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Upper Darby Township Council as follows. Section 1, definitions as used in this article. Chapter 532-2, the following terms shall be added and have the meanings indicated. Department, the Upper Darby Police Department are the Department of Licenses and Inspection. Section 2, records, section 532-3 shall be amended as follows. The department shall keep a record of the following: the names of all owners of vehicles impounded, the names of all persons claiming such vehicles, the license numbers and such information as may identify the vehicle, nature and circumstances of the impounding of the vehicle, the violation of the law or ordinance on account of which the vehicle was impounded, and the final disposition in each case. Section 3, other proceedings, 532-4 shall be amended. Nothing in this chapter is intended to prohibit the department from instituting legal proceedings, charging the owner or driver of any vehicle with the violation of any other law or ordinance, or prohibit the township or designated agent from towing any vehicle pursuant to any other law or ordinance. There's a repealer clause, a severability clause, and an effective date, which is immediately after the legal passage. So ends the reading.
Great, thank you. At this point in time, can we get a motion to introduce and advertise ordinance number 3094?
Does it have to be a roll call? Or does
I
one
need
have
a
to
motion.
be-
I need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce
Second.
and advertise.
Second.
Sorry.
And Tunis. Great, and roll call. Are there any questions or concerns on the advertisement or introduction of this ordinance? Seeing none, Councilwoman Billups, take it away.
All right, Counselor Tunis,
Yes.
Counselor Billups is a yes. Counselor Silva,
Yes.
Counselor Blackwell,
Yes.
Counselor Gwynn,
Yes.
Counselor Burke,
Yes.
Counselor Sadiq,
Yes.
Counselor Faralia,
Yes.
Counselor Barnett,
Yes.
Counselor Wagner,
Yes.
and Council President Wentz.
Yes,
Unanimous.
thank you. Thank you, everyone. Would you like to continue on with the report of your committee?
We will have a meeting next week to talk about Colonial Kitchen, and we will also talk about 0421 next week. So we'll be sending an email out tomorrow to see what available times for the committee is. That concludes the report.
Great. Next up, we have Public Health and Environmental Affairs Committee, co-chairs Councilman Tunis and Silva, council members Billups and Sadiq. Take it away.
Thank you, Council President. There's been a couple items that were being discussed in the Public Health Committee over the last month. Starting February 12th, we had a Zoom meeting conducted with the members of the committee, and also Councilwoman Danielle Blackwell was also involved in that because this is an ongoing initiative that she was taking part of concerning the unhoused community of Upper Darby, and also Council Vice President or County Council Vice President Monica Taylor, CAO Ron Gion, and concerned Shira Alberts, where we were discussing issues with the county for, again, our ongoing initiative to try to do something about the unhoused community here in Upper Darby. And one of the items, a couple of things that were reflected in previous discussions of this council, I do want to correct, but code blue in Delaware County is set at a temperature of 40 degrees. While it is currently a silent alert, that's going to be addressed. And also there are two different phone numbers, as we've discussed before, for how people can respond to when they see members of the unhoused community that need help. And talking to Council Vice President Taylor, they're going to try to go to a single number. But one of the more important items that we want to kind of bring to everyone's attention is that the county has a request for proposal. They're looking for a provider to offer night services near the terminal area from dusk till dawn. Something similar to like what SEPTA has going with the Hub of Hope in Center City. And we want to bring anyone's attention to it who may be interested in applying. So again, it would be through the county website, the delcopa.gov, purchasing /bids proposals /homeless services RFP re-release PDF. And I'd be happy, I guess, if there's a way to share that link, maybe through our social media or something. But I did want people to know, because I do know that there are certain members of the township that might be able to either put in a bid or help the county find someone who will be able to fill that function that we feel is extremely important. So, and our other item that we recently had a committee meeting where we discussed again, a review of a previous ordinance, the chicken ordinance, or well, it's like a livestock ordinance previously, but we're and then that ordinance right now is it will be reviewed by department head, Mr. McSween, from License and Inspection. But we met with Solicitor Richardson and kind of hammered out a lot of details there. So hopefully that'll be coming in, soon. So we but is there anything from any of the other members of our committee that they would like to bring up at this time?
Mr. Silva, I was in that meeting by phone, but my device was, I don't know, something happened. I was hearing everyone, but I could not talk. Nobody was hearing me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I didn't realize that you were able to. I knew you had other things going on, and it was hard to.
Then I text to our council president, Ms. Wins, that I am there, but I could not talk.
Yes, I relayed that to everybody.
Thank you. I just want to mention that I was listening all the conversation.
Right.
And yeah, you were, and it definitely a big help too with the previous meeting in February as well. So it's are there any other items from members of our committee? Anything from council?
I believe Mayor Keffer wanted to weigh in.
Oh, certainly.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I believe that conducts our, or I believe that that's our report. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. So next up, we have Municipal Services Committee, Municipal Services Licensing and Public Works Committee, co-chairs Councilman Siddiq and Tunis Jr., council members Wagner and Burke.
Yeah, so we've been meeting regarding resolution number 0421. The last meeting we had was last night. Some of our members could not make it. I did email the committee and CC'd President Wentz on some updates that Director McSween has sent to us. So I'm going to try to see if we can schedule some more meetings, kind of get this stuff like done. Was there anything else for any members of the committee and/or council?
Yeah, just to remind any other committee that as soon as you complete your revisions of 0421 and you've completed them with Mr. McSween and so forth, or whoever else you needed to check in with to make sure you get everything back to the Municipal Services Committee so that they could review all the parts before we send it back to mayor, administration, and solicitors.
Yeah, understood.
Great. Anyone else? So does that conclude?
Yeah, I concluded.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, great. So next up, we have the Event Planning Committee, co-chairs Billups and Blackwell, members Tunis Jr. and Silva.
Thank you, Council President Wentz. We had a successful rollout of our Black History Month where we celebrated women. It was great. We had people liked it. People enjoyed it. I know I did a lot of posting also on Instagram. So people really enjoyed that. So thank you everyone who participated. And we're going to continue it for this month, for not Black History Month, but Women History Month. So I think I want to give you an update also about, remember before when Dr. Coles did the poems for Black History Month. As of today, March 3rd, there has been 58 submissions for the 2021 Black History Month Poetry Contest. Poems have been received from Aronimink, Bywood, Garrettford, Highland Park, Primos, Suncow, and Stonehurst Elementary Schools. The students were excited to show off their creativity and share knowledge of notable Black Americans that they learned in lessons throughout the month of February. We will meet again to read over the poems and pick our top 3. So, and we will have that for you as soon as we can. So does anyone else from the Event Planning Committee has anything?
Can you just clarify on the poetry thing, on the 17th meeting, we're going to have the Parking Director Dr. Coles is going to join us with the winners of the poetry to read their poems to us, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure we were.
Yep. That's correct. That's correct, Council President Wentz.
Okay, thank you.
So does anyone from the committee have anything else to add? Yes, Councilwoman Blackwell.
I just want to add that it was impossible to include all women because every woman and every person is valuable. So although only 28 or so was chosen for the month, everybody and all women are extremely important.
That's true. Amen.
Definitely.
Councilor Silva.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, I actually not only enjoyed, and I know people told me that they enjoyed reading the post, but I like writing them too, and reading about a lot of those women was kind of inspirational to me as well. So I found that to be a big plus. So thank you. Thank you for suggesting it, and I thought it was a great thing that we did.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else from the committee? Yes, Council President Wentz.
I just wanted to say that the posts were very successful on our council page. Many of the posts reaching over a couple thousand people. So very successful. Great job.
Anyone else from council? I think that concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So next up, we have our solicitors to give us an update on what they've been doing.
Obviously, we have been busy. Council sees the various land development matters we've been working on with Mr. Galante, attorneys from developers and other portions of staff. We've been working on the various ordinance for the repeal of 3093 that you heard this evening, as well as the towing ordinance and various other ordinances that we're working on, as well as the group home ordinance, which we are coordinating with through the Delaware County Planning Department. That concludes, and we work daily with staff on right to know issues and various other code issues, and with finance, and have a lot of contact with Upper Darby staff. So subject to any questions, that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you. Any questions or concerns for our solicitors? Okay, seeing none. Old business? Anyone have any? Councilman Barnett, is that you?
Yes, President Wentz, thank you. I want to acknowledge that, consistent with action taken at our last council meeting, the trash and recycling calendar has been in fact changed from spring holiday back to what it was originally titled as Good Friday, as it is in fact Good Friday. I just want to bring to the attention of the administration that we have 3 calendars. The other calendar, in addition to trash and recycling, which currently still has the 2nd of August listed as a spring holiday. I'm sure that was an oversight, but should be changed as well to Good Friday. Now, the 3rd calendar, the meetings calendar of the township, does not, in fact, post township holidays. So I understand that it would remain blank. It neither says Good Friday, nor does it say spring holiday. So that certainly is acceptable. But I would ask that in addition to the trash and recycling calendar, which has already been changed back to Good Friday, that the holidays and events calendar, which still has the day listed as a spring holiday, be changed to Good Friday.
Are you suggesting a whole new mailer go out to the residents of Upper Township?
I'm not. I'm suggesting that the calendar as it is posted on our website.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for old business?
Council President, I do.
Sure.
I just want to state the cleanup on March 13th or February 13th on Creek Road, despite the incredible weather that we had, was very successful, and we had a great turnout, and I really appreciate everyone that came out and took part. Despite the snow being on the ground, we still found a lot of great stuff for people to pick up with the trash truck on Monday. So again, thanks to everyone who came out. It was a wonderful event.
Thank you for having that. I'm sorry I was unable to attend. And as, go ahead, Mayor Keffer.
Well, on that note, Council President Wentz, you can attend the next cleanup that Matt's having, Councilman Silva's having on the 13th of March on Creek Road. But I'm not sure if this is old business or new business, but I just wanted to say that, you know, we're coming in on a year under COVID, right? It's March 13th it'll be a year since the emergency declaration that Governor Wolf issued and that I echoed. And I do want to say I'm very appreciative of the Recreation Committee, which had the outdoor meetings about the Observatory Hill and the Chatham Park projects. Councilman Silva has already had a cleanup during this time. Councilwoman Blackwell has organized one in the next couple of weeks, and Councilman Silva is also continuing. The Creek Road is pretty. It's long and it's sort of isolated, and it's a big dump area, and we are going to work on that. But it's been really hard, and on top of that, we've gotten word from the county that the community service program, which used to come in like every weekend and help us clean up, not just us, but other spots in the county, help us clean up dump areas and high litter areas. Like they're still suspended. It's not functioning. It hasn't been functioning for a year. So now the snow's melting and a lot of the trash in our neighborhoods is more visible. So I just would encourage people. I know it's at this point, it could just be council watching this meeting, but I do encourage people to come out and just pick up around your neighborhood, because if it's not in a trash can or a trash bin, then our people aren't pick it up probably. But so we're in this together, and this is our community, and you know, just be mindful. And if you can, I just encourage everybody to pick up a little bit. And so on that note, the Darby Creek Valley Association, this is their 37th cleanup of the Darby and Cobbs Creek. We also have in Upper Darby Township, we have the tributaries of Collinbrook and then Muckinipattis. And we do have a large number of people that have already signed up to be captains, but there's more spaces involved. But I'd just like to go through and just let everybody know who's doing what. Maybe in Drexel Hill, in the Drexel Hill neighborhood at Bloomfield and Rosemont, Maureen McMahon is the site captain. We are still looking for somebody for the Drexel Garden Park, which is also the Bond Avenue Park across the bridge from Hillcrest Elementary. If anybody would like to sign up for that, we really need somebody there. Collinbrook United Church, the site captain there is Melanie Caldwell. Gillespie Park is going to be headed by Representative Mike Zabel and Gwen McCullough. Kent Park has as its captain Kate Keyville, who is who's a resident in Upper Darby Township. Penn Pines Park has a site captain this year, and that's Harry Kalish. Nailers Run Park is going to be captained again, and probably for the 37th time, by Pete Leahy, who's a member of the Marine Corps League and has also been a captain of Nailers Run Park. I think since in the beginning. I know he got an award from council a number of years ago to recognize his He's very quiet. He's a very quiet but effective volunteer. He was part of the fall follow-up that I think was in September or October this past year, because last year the DCVA didn't have the cleanup because of COVID. But here we are again this year. I'm going to captain just across from Pete Leahy on the other side of the Nails Run Park. Marshall Road Field is going to be captained by Sean McIntosh, and Dolores Lombardi is going to captain the golf park field area. And then there's the Pico substation. Tammy Lawson is going to help clean up that. That might be the one at Marshall and Long Lane. I'm not really sure. But we're sort of blessed with an immense amount of creeks and streams running through our township, and they're sort of hidden gems. And so we do encourage people to either join onto an existing site, or if there's a site that you feel, there's Gillespie Park, I don't know if Scullion Field needs one, whatever. There's a lot to do. There's plenty to do here. We don't have community service anymore, or for the time being. And it's great for all of us to chip in when we can. So.
Thank you. And that one is, what's the date of that cleanup, that mass cleanup throughout the township and county?
So it's April 10th.
Okay.
But if you can't make April 10th and you have another site in mind, you can switch it around. But they just like to have the one date so that more people can gather around it. But being respectful of other people's schedules, if you can do it on the 17th, that's fine. April 4th is Easter Saturday. So that might not be a more popular date, but.
Great, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
go ahead.
The community event Zoom meeting is not committee, I'm sorry, the community center event meeting on 10th of March or April?
No, I think it's March.
March, right?
The cleanups on
No,
April.
no. Community center building on 7000 Walnut Street. Zoom meeting.
All right, let me check my.
I believe it was March 10th.
Look,
You said
March 10th. Yeah.
March 10th.
March 10th. Okay. What time?
I believe it was 7.
It's 7 p.m. And that's going to be the Zoom meeting. And we are also going to have, we're going to have an in-person meeting too. March 10th. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a great project. And I'm glad we're able to promote it now. Thank you for asking that question, Councilman Siddiq. So we are asking that people register for the meeting through the township website, upperdarby.org, or you can call 610-734-7625 to register for that as well.
There will be any in-person meeting, or?
We're going to try and have like an outdoor meeting like we had for the Observatory Hill project, and also the Chapman Park. And before that, we also had a meeting for Parkview in St. Lawrence residents concerning traffic and parking issues. So because we're still working within the COVID zone or the COVID life, the outdoor meetings are, I think, the way to go for the next couple of months. And I hope people that we all need the vaccine. So I hope that people who have gotten it, can get it, got it already. And if you haven't, please sign up at the county website. It looks like there's going to be a lot more vaccines available to more people very quickly. So we want everyone to continue to wear masks and keep, 6 feet apart, wash your hands a lot and all that kind of stuff. So, and be safe. We just want us to not relax and not be complacent. So
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of information.
Yep. Anyone else have anything for old business? Okay, seeing none. New business? Councilman Siddiq?
Yeah, our mosque is distributing 400 boxes, fruits, vegetables, and some other items this Saturday on 6th of March. But the time, they are not giving the time. So they say around 11, 12 o'clock. That's why I cannot say exactly what time the truck will be here. Depends on the delivery. So you are expecting truck will be here by 11 to 12 p.m. So I am inviting all the council member. If you have time, please come join with us for a few minutes. All the community, all are invited to pick up a box, or they can pick up box for somebody else who are needy for the community.
Thank you. That's also at the same time as our the township's food distribution on Saturdays at 11:30 at the township building. So
yes, that will be continue. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that the two food distributions are happening at the same time. Just
our one is again the truck. Most of the truck they don't keep their word. They say 11 o'clock. They come show up 1 o'clock. They're not, but they're coming from Delaware or somewhere else. So that's why they say 11, but we don't know what time. But yeah, you can say 11 to 12.
okay, I'm just saying that also at 11:30 at the township building is the township's food distribution.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
so the other thing is that if you can that morning, or when the truck does show up, send me a text and I'll send it out to the social media. If you can send me the information, I'll send it out to social media, letting them know that there's food available at the mosque. You don't want people to get in line for something that you have no idea when it's going to show up.
Yes, right. Yes. They're going to give like a 20 minutes window time, and that time I'm going to text to everyone that the truck will be here in 20 minutes or half an hour, whatever.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, anyone else with new business?
I just wanted to add on to what we were, when we talked about the meetings at the Observatory Hill playground and Chapman Park, is that these meetings were they're part of the application process. So we had the in-person meetings, we had a virtual meeting. It might have been yesterday. Kind of like this weird thing when you do these Zoom calls. But the grant applications are due in the middle of April, and we hope to hear, either way about we're submitting one for Observatory Hill and Chapman Park, and also for a study for Nailers Run Park. And we should hear sometime in October if we were to be awarded those grants, which would be great. Then the actual work on Chapman Park and Observatory Hill playground would begin in 2022. And then for Nailers Run, that's for just a master plan, because it's our biggest park. It's, I don't know, 20, 30 acres. And it runs right, obviously it runs right through the heart of the township. So we're not just having meetings to have meetings. These are meetings that are meaningful and will give more, heft to the applications that we put in for these grants.
Great, thank you. And there we had, and at both those meetings, we had a variety of residents there. It was a cold, cold winter day after snowstorms and so forth. And the reception was really good. Residents seemed really happy to be there and to be able to voice their questions and their suggestions, being able to weigh in on what the parks would look like in the renovations and express all their concerns on things that happen at the parks now and in the past and what they would love to have for the future. So it was very successful. I'm very thankful that you guys you hosted it, and the Parks and Recs Committee and Leisure Services Committee seem to be working together on things like that in the future. Everyone had some great ideas, and I think it was extremely successful. So thank you.
So yeah, I'd just like to add, whenever you pick a time for a meeting, it's not going to suit everybody, but I'd like to thank Councilwoman Danielle Blackwell and Councilman Tunis for going into the areas directly around those two parks with flyers that also allowed people to submit email comments, right? Because it was cold both those days. It was, it's pretty cold. But they could, residents also were able to and have submitted their input by email and by phone messages. So it's been like, COVID's been really tough. I think there's a lot of good things that we've learned from it. And even just judging by the turnout for those two outdoor meetings in February, people are looking for something to do. They're just happy to get out of the house, right? Everybody at the meeting was masked up and it was good. So
definitely. Councilman Silva, you had your hand up a moment ago. Was that?
Yes, I did. Members, mostly I think like the events committee, we've been discussing things like Councilman Tunis has expressed some concerns about a lot of his residents were trying to find a vaccination site, and we were trying to put one together in the township because I like through my own lately trying to find a vaccine, myself. I mean, I'm an essential worker. I work with a couple of crews that have already gotten COVID and trying to just protect myself and my family. Like, sometimes you're able to find a vaccine, but it might be in another part of the state. It could be like extremely prohibitive to get to, particularly a lot of our residents don't drive. And we're trying to put something together to solve that problem. So we've been kind of putting our heads together and trying to figure out what resources we can gather to help make this happen. And we also wanted to reach out to any residents who might also have some ideas or some inputs about who to contact or who to talk to try to make this something that we could have in a part of the township that would be a benefit to a lot of residents who otherwise are I mean, sadly, like kind of slipping through the cracks with this whole COVID epidemic. I mean, we were talking a little earlier in the executive session, and I somebody brought up, it's like, this disease impacts everybody differently, but it's more than just it impacts like the disease itself. It's the way that we all have to deal with it impacts everybody differently, because some people that I mean, it just exacerbates like kind of the haves and the have-nots, and if there's something we can do to try to correct that, I can't think of anything more important to do. So that's as of right now, we're trying to find vaccinators, and a lot of residents have already reached out that would volunteer to help to be nurses and or like to administer the vaccines. We're trying to find a vaccine, basically like a healthcare provider or something that could like help us like obtain the vaccines, and maybe we could use the Watkins Center or like a similar large building to help do this. And I know a lot of churches in the township already are doing it. And I'm also going to post some other information for people that can drive. like on my own social media or whatever about like, you know, the different resources that I found helpful, particularly an app called Baxmax and like some of the schedulers that some of the drugstores have. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Gwynn?
Yes. Matt, I think you have some very good ideas, but one of the things that we also have to do is to find ways of helping the individuals who do not have the computers to get themselves registered on it. We have to get some services out to those individuals that need the assistance and develop a group that can be trustworthy to see the sensitive material that the individual has to register and get them on at least the county site, or have a telephone number that they can call in to the township to allow the township to do something of that nature to help them get registered. That's half of the problem.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a big logistical element. I mean, it's like, you know, there's a lot of vaccines kind of, you know, up until a few hours ago, I was going to be driving to St. Mary's today to get a vaccine, but not everybody has the option of being able to get in a car and drive 6 hours away. So it's, but then the other hand too, is the issue with like, you know, if you don't have access to the internet, then it's like I mean, it is kind of sad. I mean, it's more than like kind of, it's pretty tragic, to be honest, the way this is set up. So we are trying to set up, like, ideally what we'd like to do is have something that like a lot of our residents could just walk to. Maybe it would be first come, first serve, or if we could get the word out where people don't, you know, but I'm not, again, you know, we're just trying to put it together at this point. But I agree, you're right. I mean, like, you know, so much of this is based on, oh, you have the internet and then you just, you know, you can then go to wherever you have to go. And a lot of people don't have the internet or a means to travel that kind of distance. And it's just so much logistics that it's just exacerbated when people don't have those options. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Those are definitely very important concerns. Thank you. Anyone else with any new business? All right, seeing none. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second, yeah.
Okay, so I heard Gwynn and Billups. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Good night, all.